Thinking about buying a Rolex? Well, let me save you a little bit of time and a lot of money. Don't do it. Seriously, even if you have the money, buying a Rolex isn't the right decision for most men. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about 7 things that you should think about before you buy a Rolex. Now, to start things off, yes, I've bought and owned 4 Rolexes. The first one I purchased over 2 years ago was this beautiful Yachtmaster right here. I purchased this with my friend Aaron Marino to celebrate my first $1 million year with Real Men, Real Style. The next Rolex I picked up was my Blue Dial Datejust. Absolutely love this watch. I wanted something a bit fancier, something more of a dress watch that I could celebrate Menfluential. It was the first year that we sold out. So again, I wanted something to remember to celebrate that event. I knew it wasn't going to last forever, and I wanted something to commemorate, something I could look back on and remember those times. The third Rolex I picked up is the Rolex Explorer. Absolutely love this design and the story behind it. So after Sir Edmund Hillary climbed Mount Everest with a Rolex, they actually commissioned this to be built to celebrate that, hence the Rolex Explorer. And I bought this one because I wanted to celebrate me and my family traveling the world. We've lived in Thailand, we go live over in Ukraine, multiple other countries. I was just in Mauritius with my son. We're looking to travel maybe to Sri Lanka. I wanted a watch that could celebrate us just going out there and seeing the world. And the final watch on this list, the Rolex Submariner No Date. Now, this one doesn't really have a great story. I simply was speaking to a friend. He had it in stock. They're hard to get, so I grabbed it because I've always wanted this watch and I thought it would be fun to own. So to get things started, let's address the elephant in the room. Why would a guy with 4 Rolexes tell you not to purchase a Rolex? Because I've also bought about 75 other watches, and what I've noted is that I'm not wearing my Rolexes all that much. Actually, 2 of them do make my normal rotation, but 2 of them really just sit and aren't worn at all. So it is something I want to make sure that if you're going to buy a Rolex, that it's the right decision for you. Oh, and to have a little bit of fun, let's see if you can guess the watch I'm wearing right here. I'm just going to reveal a bit of it. Let me just say that it is very closely related to Rolex. It's not a Rolex though. Let me know down in the comments and we'll see who can guess it. I'll reveal at the end of today's video. So the first reason not to buy a Rolex is to buy it for status purposes. And I know that that's why these sport steel watches sell, because everyone wants to own a Rolex at the entry-level price point, hence why the price is driven up on them. But here's the deal. I've had maybe 50 conversations in over 2 years about my watches whenever I'm wearing a Rolex. And of those 50 conversations, probably 10 of them actually were with people that weren't, we didn't bring it up or they weren't in the know. They weren't in the industry. So I've had 10 people in a total of 2 years. And let's think, I've probably walked by through New York City, airports, everything. I don't know, 100,000 people. And I've interacted, it has to be like with at least a couple thousand. And almost nobody has noticed the watch. So if you're buying it for status, I don't think it's worth it based on my experience. Seriously, I read about a guy that bought a watch and he said, I went to the airport, I put my arms up there, they saw my watch, they upgraded me to first class. I've actually tried this. I know it's so superficial, but it has never happened. And I've probably flown, 20 times and actually tried this trick. But no, people have noticed the watch. But again, these have been people that know a lot about watches and we've been talking style, and it's usually at meetups or events like that. Now, I'm not saying that wearing a nice watch doesn't level up your status, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a Rolex. And that's my point here. The thing is, a lot of people are just buying the Rolex for the status, to be able to say that they have the Rolex. But if you're out there announcing that you have a Rolex, yeah, you've got issues, unless you're me at an airport again, trying to get knocked up to first class. I swear, it's all an experiment. Next up, let's talk about how the watch makes you feel. Basically, what I'm talking about is enclosed cognition. This is a whole field of science that talks about how we perform is affected by the clothing we wear and how it makes us feel. Now, not everyone's susceptible to this. Some people really, they're just super self-confident and they could be, basically walking around naked and they're not going to have an issue. For most of us, though, we need to be wearing the right clothing, and this can apply to accessories. So if it's something that you're really into watches, and let's say that you've wanted a Rolex forever, I would say in this case, if you've got the money to spend, it may actually be worth it, because I know me, I've wanted a Rolex for a long time. So when I reach the point that I could afford it, whenever I wear one of my Rolexes, it actually makes me feel a bit more confident. I know it's there and it reminds me the story behind it. Now, this isn't going to be for everybody. So in this case, if you're that type of a person, then yeah, you don't go for a L'Oreal. Looks just like a Submariner, and actually it's a great deal for about $100. Or, I guess you could go with the Invicta, but I like the L'Oreal a bit more. Next up, let's talk stories. So I think having a great story with a watch and it reminding you of something, you buying it to commemorate something, is a great reason to buy a watch. Now, without a story, you can do it if you just want it, but I can tell you, this watch doesn't really have the same meaning. It's a beautiful watch. I like it. I got a great deal on it, but I can tell you, I'm going to give it away to a friend that I know would never buy something like this for him. The point being is a great story can make the watch. And for me, every time I think about this watch, I was with Aaron, we purchased it, I just had my best year ever with Menfluential, and I'm going to keep this watch. I'm going to celebrate those moments every time I wear it, thinking about those moments. Now, the next reason not to buy a Rolex is as an investment piece. This one has white gold, and you could argue, okay, it's got precious metals, and it actually is selling for about the price I paid for it. But, you know, this one is now used. It probably has a few scratches on it. The warranty, we've used a couple years on it. So I would say I wouldn't be able to get, definitely, I would lose a bit of money on this. The only Rolex I actually probably can make money on and sell is this one right here. I haven't even tried it, all the work that goes into it, actually setting up an account, because I'll have no trust on one of these brokerage sites that allow you to sell used watches. So it really would be a hassle. Again, if you're not in the business, if you're not going to do this in bulk, if you don't know what you're doing, definitely don't get into this as an investment. Next up, let's talk accuracy. Maybe you want to buy a Rolex because they're incredibly accurate, plus or minus 2 seconds a day. Another cool thing about all Rolex watches is they're tested over at the official Swiss Chronometer Testing Institute. Basically, what happens is over a period of 15 days, they test the inside movement in 5 different positions at 3 different temperatures. So it's pretty extensive. And then they give it a certification if it actually passed, which all Rolexes sold do. And then beyond that, Rolex actually tests their watches once the movement is inside the watch to ensure, again, it's incredibly accurate. Now, all that sounds great, but if you're really into accuracy, why don't you just go grab a Grand Seiko? They're actually twice as accurate. So to 1 second a day, plus or minus. And for most people that own a Grand Seiko, the spring drive, they actually say it's even better than that. They're talking maybe a couple seconds a month off. And if you're really into accuracy, how about you just grab a simple digital watch, which is going to be incredibly accurate, or the most accurate, I guess, watch when I'm out there, less than $1,000. And this is going to connect to multiple towers around the world. So wherever you're at in the world, you can get the accurate time in your time zone, which is pressing a button, and it's going to link up to even, not satellites, but yeah, you get the drift. The point being, Rolex is accurate, but it's not the most accurate option out there if that's what you're after. Next up, let's talk security. When you've got an expensive watch, understand that thieves, that people that will steal from you are watching this. I had a friend, he's over in Rome, and he's just walking around wearing a very nice, expensive watch, and he had it ripped right off his arm. He never really talked much about it, but it was something that shocked him, and he wasn't ready for it. All of my watches I keep secured in a safe, and it's something that you start thinking about security. You think about getting robbed. So if I'm going to be traveling and I want a watch that's relatively inexpensive, one that I think looks fine, and one that if it was stolen from me, if I lost it, I'm not going to be crying, then I'm going to get a fashion watch. But be careful when you get those expensive watches. If you are not going to be ready for everything that comes with, a little bit of the headache, then yeah, it's not worth the purchase. And let's talk about the maintenance. So there is maintenance that comes with these really nice mechanical watches. What am I talking about? So every 5 years, you need to get this thing opened up. You need to get the oil, yes, checked on your watch because it actually starts to break down. Now, a lot of people aren't going to do anything until the watch starts functioning poorly, but usually, and I actually kind of prescribe to that side. Don't mess with it if it's not broken. Point being, though, is eventually the mechanics will break down. There will be an issue. There may be something that, you have to send it off to get a warranty. The point, expensive watches have expensive maintenance. All right, so what was the watch I was wearing in today's video? And one of my absolute favorite watches right here. You've probably seen this in one of my other videos. Right here, we've got a Tudor Black Bay 58. Absolutely love the size and the look. Very similar to the Submariner, but I actually like this one better. So hence why I'm probably going to give that Submariner away. And another watch I'll probably be giving away. Yes, I will be probably giving away my Datejust. I've got a certain person who I've been thinking about for a long time, and I want to give this watch to. But curious, like what are the other watches I'm rotating through that I absolutely love? I love the dial of this watch right here. Check out this Manta. Absolutely beautiful field watch. Very different from my Explorer. And I love, and the two Rolexes that I wear that are in my rotation all the time, my Explorer and my Yachtmaster. Love both of these watches absolutely. And yeah, I like it. It's just I don't wear it enough. Another watch I've been wearing a lot lately. Right here, we've got this Yema Superman. Absolutely beautiful watch I picked up over in Mauritius. Notice the nice patina that's forming. We were diving in the Indian Ocean. And I showed you this watch earlier, but I absolutely love this Casio G-Shock MTG. Beautiful watch. So after all this, are you ready to buy your first Rolex? Okay, then check out this video right here. I go into a lot of detail about all the different types of Rolexes and what you should think about when buying your first Rolex. Oh, and watch for the blooper. I mispronounce a certain watch. It's embarrassing, and the internet has let me know that I made this mistake. But yeah, go check out the video right here.